Andrew Whitworth here on the Rich Eisen Show, ladies and gentlemen. Where are you, Big Whit? Where are you?
What's up, brother?
Where are you?
You know what? Trying to get out in the sun a little bit. I'm down in Malibu. You know, just trying to. I'm trying to.
Hey
you know,
now.
Rich, you just need to lift your spirits a little bit. It was a tough week. You know.
I hear you. It's beautiful Southern California, and you know it's not like you're not Big Whit enough, but the shot from down up, you just look like you're just as. My God, you're taking the whole thing up right now.
Come on, baby. Come on, Rich.
You miss being on the road, Whit? You miss those Thursday nights so far? What do you miss them? How about this one? What was the best environment for Thursday night football this year? Your favorite? What was the best?
Oh, man.
Yeah,
you know,
you're in the
I would
middle of
say
it.
this, Rich.
Yeah.
You know, we had some great games. We really
Sure
did. You think
did.
we had a lot of overtime games. We had some great games that I thought really went down to the wire. I think one of the moments that you kind of sat there and you're like, man, this thing is so cool and we're a part of something really special.
Yeah.
I thought the Jackson Dart, when he played for the Giants, they upset the Eagles. That was his first game, kind of getting that opportunity to have the start and play the whole game, and upsetting the Eagles in that big moment. Just the energy around it, how exciting him and Scatterbo were. You think of where they were in that moment after that. That setting, that post game, I was sitting around like, man, this is really cool. Just to be a part of this and the whole NFL story, and to watch two young guys do something special, bring some energy to that stadium in New York. I thought that was a really fun moment for us.
What about the Bears? What about anything in Chicago? You were there for a lot of big ones. One in Philadelphia where they shut everyone up, but after Thanksgiving. But there had to be, and I know it was freezing. And you know, I think Tony Gonzalez's mouth and jaws finally just thawing. But that had to be pretty cool. Any of those Bears moments leap out at you?
Yeah, listen, Chicago is one of my favorite places to get to go there, have the opportunity to be there for that game. I mean, to think of that arena, like when you sat there, I panned it with my phone at one point when the Bears take the lead, and you're just like, man, unreal. Like the city of Chicago being lit and excited for NFL football in a big moment in the playoffs. I mean, we needed it. The league needed it. It's really cool to see what Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson, and this football team have gotten themselves to. And this is going to be an exciting offseason for them, because I think now it's like, all right, yeah, you got to roll the boulder back up the mountain again, but we got a lot of belief in who we are and how we can go about this. And now what do we do to put all the pieces together to get ourselves an opportunity to play even longer? And I think that's going to be a really exciting team to follow this offseason.
That throw, what the one to win it, or the fourth and 8, right? I mean, that throw, stupid. I've never seen anything like it. Unreal.
Yeah, I mean, sitting there with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's played the position at a really high level in the NFL, and him going, "You're not supposed to be. You can't do that. Like, that's not possible."
Even he was saying that. Even he thought that window was impossible. That's impressive. Wow.
It's not possible, and it's his talent, his ability, and honestly matched up that perfect relationship where Ben Johnson's this guy. The details and all those things are going to be so fine tuned, and it's going to be fun to see Caleb, who loves to kind of paint and create on his own, and then also being with somebody like Ben Johnson, who's got this mind he has and how detailed he is, like their relationship together and really how they'll both grow and develop. I think it's going to be a really exciting narrative for the league for years to come, seeing these two and what they're able to do.
That's Andrew Whitworth talking about Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. Andrew Whitworth joining us here now with our radio audience is back. I'm sure our radio affiliate in Chicago, ESPN, in Chicago, loves to hear about your high on Caleb, who's not. Let's just jump into the big topic today, Andrew, that Bill Belichick is not a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're already shaking your head. I'll give you the floor on the subject matter.
It's just disappointing, Rich. I mean, I think you look at it over the years. I think it's one of the things that, I was really excited. You look at our Protector of the Year award this year to have something where you have former players, even some current guys that are involved and trying to help make that selection to where it's really coming from a place of people that have been there, done that, and been a part of this game for a really long time. I mean, I think everybody that played it, coached it, has been around the NFL, sees Bill Belichick as the standard. And his greatness and who he is as a football coach and what he was able to accomplish over his time in New England. I even think of the impact he had on guys like Nick Saban and others, and now even Mike Vrabel, who's sitting there coaching the Super Bowl right now. Man, it's just you all look up and you're all so inspired by him to see him not be somebody who I think we all sit there and talk about, man, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer and those kind of things. As a coach, you think of this guy as he is on the first ballot of all Hall of Famers. And to not be somebody who's going to go in the first time, I think a lot of guys are just discouraged. And I think it's a bad look for people that vote in this, because it just shows you that a lot of this stuff comes down to bias, because there is no argument. You can like him, you can hate how some of them are won or have an argument about that kind of stuff. But to argue whether he is a first ballot Hall of Famer, there is no question. He is one of the greatest coaches that's ever coached the sport.
Yeah, I've been chopping this up for 2.5 hours now, Whit, and what you just said kind of is a new angle to talking about it, which is the debate should have been amongst us as observers and fans, not just handled by the committee that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer no matter what you think, right? And then leave it up to us as to where he ranks based on, the warts, right?
Yep.
Like I would have preferred it that way, quite frankly.
Yeah, those are conversations for coffee shops and talk shows and everything else. Like, hey, that's great. But the conversation of whether he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, there is none. He is, without question, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. The very first chance you could put him in there, you put him at the top of it with some of the greatest coaches ever in the history of this game.
And, when you said a lot of guys are discouraged or disappointed, are you talking about your colleagues in the media, or you're talking about former players that you text with, talk with? Like, can you give me a general sense of your man on the street, if you will, from your perch?
Yeah, I think when you look at players' reactions, you see it, former coaches' reactions. The reaction is not one of like, man, we want to go critique. Obviously there's a lot made about the voting systems of a lot of the different things, Pro Bowls, you name it. But it's not that. It's that, man, there's not really any debate on the impact that Bill Belichick on the game of football and the level of excellence. So it's those kind of things that now we create all kinds of questions, and you're making the voting process look really bad when a guy who has done something that very few have ever been having the opportunity to even go to a game, he's been a part of that many and won it. It's just, you start to create all this, really turmoil around the subject. And now everything's going to get dissected and looked at. And I look at it like, Rich, a lot of these things come out with college football and where we are today with NIL and all those things. Do you know why we're here, Rich? Because years ago, when we had a system ran by the NCAA, we went into things that was none of their business for them to govern and overlook and critique. And then, you know what? People had to sue them and go after them and take away all their power. And now we live in this world where we live in now with college football. So if we want to have systems and things like these things that aren't debatable, like they've got to go a certain way. And you can't put your emotion and feelings into whether you like Bill Belichick or not as a voter. Without question, he's the most accomplished and deserves to be at the very top of the Hall of Fame and what he's accomplished as a head coach. So to not get in the first time you have a chance to vote him, you make people question. You make people come after you. You make people say, all right, I want to know exactly who votes, how they vote, and what's their names. And so when you're 5 years down the road and you're like, man, why is it like this now? Well, these are the kind of moments that lead from that. Right? That's the reality. I'll never forget. I always stick this out. I played with A.J. Green, one of the greatest athletes, coolest dudes, greatest human beings I ever played with. Like to think he missed college football games. We talk about the NCAA. He missed college football games because somebody paid him a couple $100 for one of his jerseys 20 years ago. Look at where we are now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to think that's how the NCAA got to where they're at. And now when we look at this voting system and you're a voter and you want to know why people are about to come after you and want to get into this and figure out what's going on, it's because you do things like this that are silly and they make no sense. It's ridiculous that we even all have to talk about this for the next couple of days, because it just shouldn't be something that exists.
Andrew Whitworth here on the Rich Eisen Show, the Fitz and Whit pod, all part of the Prime Video world that Whit is part of on Thursday nights throughout the regular season. So you're, I guess, postpartum with the Rams season, watching them in the NFC Championship game is what? What's your?
Oh man, it's tough. It's one of those things that, man, obviously I played there and I got a lot of great relationships in that building and still feel part of it and love those guys. But it's the tough part of this business, Rich, and that the reality is, we say it's cliche all the time, but there's only one team that ends the season happy. But that is the truth. And guys feel like, man, you play in the NFC Championship. You've done all these great things all season long. You've had an unbelievable year. But when things don't end the way you want them to, I don't care if it's next week's game or this NFC Championship, AFC Championship weekend, you feel like you did nothing. That's what you feel like, and that's just the first emotion. It'll take some time for them to sit back and think back of all the great things they did, all the appreciation they should have for their season. And Denver's in the same boat right now. But, at first, that first emotion is like it feels like it was all for nothing. And that's just the truth. And I loved hearing Matthew Stafford, share some perspective this week about, people shouldn't feel sorry for him. And hey, look, he's disappointed, but he's also disappointed for Devontae Adams, who's now 0-5 in NFC championships. He feels, bad for the guys that he feel like around him that deserve this opportunity to go to a Super Bowl and play for one. And, he's had an unbelievable year. I thought it's been a really cool year, in my opinion, to watch a guy who I think is going to be our MVP in a week's time. I just believe it. The season Matthew Stafford had, he without question played as an MVP and even showed it more in these playoffs. But the human being and how he handles things and the perspective he carries in this league, I think he's been a great steward of our game and really being able to, him and Kelly letting people see into their family and him and those girls before every pregame and what it means to him. And then to go home and tuck them in their beds after losing the NFC Championship in your most distraught moment in your career. I just think he's been such a great example for all our people, young people that want to play this game. They're a part of this game and what it's all about, man. And making it just, about something that's bigger than just you. And I think that's been really cool, man. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his season. And I know Sean and him are very disappointed, but they had a hell of a year, Rich.
So, Andrew Whitworth, we have reached the portion of our conversation, seems annual, where I ask you to speak on behalf of Matthew Stafford. What do you think? You just talked about him like he's retired. I'll be honest with you. What do you think?
No, I don't think that. I think that at my age and at his age that he's at now, I was the same way after every year. People tried to retire me every season when I was 38, 37, 39. I mean, that's how we got at the end of the day, we're all going to die comment from me after the Super Bowl in 18. So, listen, here's the reality. I think for him, there's a lot of things in his life that are really important to him. Those girls and Kelly, most importantly, their family. And I think that right now you're still in that stage of the disappointment and everything you've put into this year. Let's not forget, Rich. I mean, it wasn't just last August that he's sitting around with a back where he couldn't even get out there and practice with his team. And, he's disappointed in that and he's frustrated. And then he finally turns the corner and has an MVP season. So I think for him, it's getting over some of this week. I was one of those guys, Rich. I tried to quit after every season. My agent would tell you every year I called him, I said, that was it. This is it. I'm done. 6 years later, I'm still playing and signing extensions. So it's like one of those things where I was that kind of guy. I quit after every last game. So, that's the emotions coming out sometimes. I always say this, Rich, a lot of times these guys are like, if you were a fan of the X-Men, they're like the Wolverine, okay? They get injured a little bit. There's a little bit of a lash out and upset about they got injured, but the truth is they're going to heal. And once they heal and they get back to feeling like that superhero again, everything's going to be fine. But right now they got some wounds. It's going to be a lot of screaming and yelling and hollering internally. And then they're going to sit there on their couch 2 weeks from now and they're going to go, you know what? We were freaking one play, 4th and 4 from being in the Super Bowl and having a chance to go win it. I want to do that again. And so I don't know what Matthew will decide and what his priorities will be this time around. I think every year it's a little different and it shifts as you get older. But I'm excited to see what he does because I think the way he played this year, he should go back out there, give it one more try. And you know what? He's had some pretty good success with playing in SoFi in a Super Bowl. So if he gets that opportunity again, I think this next year could be a special one for the Rams.
Yeah, I'm with you, Whit. And I'm wondering if you'll take a bite at this one. Because he'll, I know that's a big windup. Stafford will never talk about what he does to maintain his physical greatness, right? Like he'll never talk about that. And I think it's crazy to think whatever he was dealing with his back in August, he just got through, and it was just fine the rest of the 20 weeks after that. But what does he do that you're willing to share that you know of to stay ahead of whatever might have been biting at his back? And I think because that might give a general insight as to why he's not immediately jumping in and saying, of course I want to play with McVay and Puka and Devontae and play for the Super Bowl in SoFi,
Well, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people think about the Sundays they get to watch in that 3.5-hour window
Right.
that they see these guys play. But the truth is, for Matthew Stafford, a guy like that at that age, and really just when you're dealing with things as a quarterback, everything it takes to know that position and play it at the level he plays it, plus his body. I mean, it's countless hours of not just when he's at work, but at home. And it's like, hey, I'd rather be sitting on the couch playing with my girls, but I got to be on a table and I got to be doing therapy and, I got to watch this tape and I got to study, he's got some young receiver or a young running back. I got to go over some things with them. Like there's so much that pulls you away all the time. And that's why I think when you see these guys with families that have played for a really long time, they've accomplished a whole lot. It's really, there's a lot to process in that week or two of whether I'm going to do this again, because they're thinking through, man, there's probably some moments that I kind of wish I was at, with my family and other things. And how much do I want to do this again? And how much do I want to give to this again? And that's really where their mental process is at, because with somebody like him with that back and everything else, it's a lot. And I know how much he takes care of his body. Matthew is one of those guys that lives it every day, man. He is about being successful and being great at what he's asked to do every single day. And he gives the same amount of energy to it all the time, but he also gives all that energy being a good father and a good husband. So it's exhausting to sit here and think, I'm going to do that again.
Right.
So that's what he's going through right now. And he'll get through that and to make that decision for him and his family and what's best. And I'll be shocked, though. I'll be shocked if he's not back out there next September.
Okay. Before I let you go, take your swing at Super Bowl 60, your first blush preview. What do you think it comes down to? What do you think of the matchup? Go for it, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I mean, obviously, I think it's really cool to see Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. Drake May, I mean, showed some glimpses last year. He'd be special, and this year removed all doubt. He's going to be a really special quarterback for a long time. I don't think it's been the best playoffs. It's been a little rough for them offensively in the playoffs. I'm happy for my guy, Will Campbell. Young guy. It's tough to play in these playoffs, be in these competitions. 3-1-8, baby. Hometown representing. I'm happy for him, but hey, don't take it for granted, man. When you get in these opportunities as a rookie, sometimes that ruins the whole rest of your career because you think it's easy to get there. But I'm happy for those guys. But I still think, Rich, in my mind, all respect to the New England Patriots, I still think that I watched the two best teams in the NFL play the other night in Seattle. So I still think Seattle and LA are the two best teams in the league. I think objectively, if you look at it, they really have been that this whole year. And I think it's exciting how good this New England Patriots defense is really rose to the occasion in the playoffs. But Seattle's tough, man. When we talk about Seattle's defense and we talk about how elite they are and how unbelievable they are, the reality is that offense has been really good this year too. And Sam Darnold hasn't turned the ball over in the playoffs. He's only seemed to get better and better as the games have gotten bigger, which has always been a critique for him throughout his career. As people, can he play big in these big moments now that you've seen this resurgence in him? And he's shown he can. And so I think Seattle is a very complete football team. And I think they beat the team last week that they had to beat to win the Super Bowl. So I think they go out and handle business.
Look at you, man. You're going on I'm just listening to you just rattle off your thoughts and just be awesome. And I just remember that guy who sat next to me on the set of NFL Network after retiring, for the Top 100 show. And who was your first ever host on TV, Andrew Whitworth?
Rich Eisen, baby.
Look at you, man.
I'll never forget leaning over to you.
Look at you.
I'll never forget leaning over to you in the commercial break and saying, "Hey, Rich, I've never done this before, right?" And you're like, "Wait, done what?" I'm like, "TV. I have no idea what I'm doing."
That is literally the exchange.
I don't know why they picked me to be with you.
He's like, I've never done this before. I'm like, get out of here. Oh, my God. Do I see you next week? You mentioned the Protector Award. Obviously, Walter Payton Man of the Year is given out. Are you at Honors? Do I see you next week?
I'll be there, baby. I'll
Awesome.
be there. I'm going to be there all week. Can't wait.
Awesome. I'll see you then, bud. You be well.
I just don't want to see Sherman celebrating. That's it. All
okay.
Right? So
I got you.
I don't have to see Richard celebrating. We're all right.
Well, you just predicted you're going to.
Yeah, be a man and take the Patriots.
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch it.
Okay, He's going to look away. Look away.
I'm going to look away when he celebrates.
I'll see you up there. See you, man.
All right, brother.
That's Andrew Whitworth, everybody. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.